Okay, so the first thing that we're going to be talking about is violence. I feel like that one is the most prominent, the most blatantly prominent, let's say, because Macbeth begins in battle and ends in battle. So really, this whole story is bookended by violence. Throughout the whole thing, we have different acts of violence, whether it's blatant, I'm going to go ahead and stab you for Macbeth, but then the acts of violence that Macbeth perpetrated onto Duncan would have been more secretive in Duncan's character. We also have Lady Macbeth's suicide. Really, what the play is asking you is, how does one act of violence lead to another? Macbeth has a wonderful quote that talks about violence, that blood will to blood, when he sees Banquo's ghost after it's been confirmed that Banquo has been murdered by the murderers that Macbeth sent. I want you guys to start thinking about how Macbeth getting the throne through violence, does this open him up to more violence? How does he handle the situation? Is there any part in the play, like once he succumbs to the violent part of his nature, does he really go ahead and start thinking like, wait a minute, I should stop? Or does anybody in the play kind of try to be that voice of reason for him? Or is it just kind of this all-encompassing one act of violence will beget another and another and another, and eventually becoming more and more extreme? I need you guys to think about violence in today's society, whether it's in a book or video games or the news. I think saying the video games and news together, that really brings up for me, the conversation of, we need our children to stop watching, playing such violent video games. And then the counterpoint to that is, if the kids aren't playing violent video games, then they can go ahead and watch TV and watch the news and see all the violence there. So really, we need to stop the violence in the world before we can stop the violence and everything like that. So really, violence is one of those themes that perpetuates itself throughout not only literature, but life. And you can go ahead and make those connections within your essay to show me that you really have thought about this. I think that it is very telling that the play begins and ends with battle, and it begins with a battle where Macbeth is successful. And when the captain is describing the battle to Duncan and Malcolm and Ross and the different Thanes there, that are with Duncan, since Duncan wasn't at the battle, how he describes Macbeth. And there we're talking about how he was like double charged cannons, and he wasn't as worried as like a hawk is to a little sparrow and things like that. Like all of that figurative language really is evoking this idea of a great warrior who is at one with violence. So is the fact that he's so good at being violent in the beginning really paving the way for him and his ambition to be more violent throughout the play? Are we getting into the idea, can get into the idea of Lady Macbeth and see that her violence, and it is obviously a more subdued, more penetrating violence, because she is finagling, she's whispering, she's really a conniving character, and that's how she gets her violent tendencies out. She does say in the beginning, when she has her little like, oh, I wish Macbeth were a better person, or a more manlier man, when she says, unsex me here and fill me from the toe to the crown, from the crown to the toe, top full of direst cruelty. She's talking about how she wants to be more violent. She wants to be more manly and be more violent. She wants her gender taken away because it's the female characteristics that can't do these things that she's already thinking about. So she has to go ahead and connive and make sure that she's playing the people around her to do the violence that she in turn cannot do. I think it's pretty evident with this quick little video that you can see just how the themes really are interconnected, and how you can weave violence, manhood, and ambition all together. So if you were one of the people who got violence and you really wanted manhood or ambition, even fate, and nature, because the nature of violence and things like that, all of these really can be connected one to another. I hope that gives you a little bit more insight into the violent theme. I am expecting you guys to use strong quotations, walk me through your thought process. I understand it's only a 5-minute video, but I think you guys really can do a good job if you really focus and get down to the main point of what you want to say. Write me those good thesis statements, y'all. Okay, bye. That was violence.